Alright, heading back to the tournament with some Nannaclir and Liael support, so let's begin. Starting off with a card that was revealed in the anime sooner, but wasn't really revealed officially until now, one who arrives at Paradise Florist, which is a grade 1 with your power and skills. Auto drop, if you do not have a rear card with the same card name as this card, you can reduce this Soul Blast cost by 1, in which when you're at least grade 3 Vanguard Nannaclir is placed, on the right face, cost Soul Blast 1 to call this the rear guard. Basically, it's a Maple clone once again, just for Nannaclir, and it's also nice that you could actually call more than one of these, even though if you have a duplicate on the field, you have to pay the Soul Blast. But it's just an alternate way to build up a board, which is actually very helpful, but of course use it for the free call. But the second skill makes it even better, where auto rear guard, when this card boosts, when your world is Stray Garden, choose one of your units, it gets plus 5k power, and if you give it plus 5k power into the end turn, retire this unit. It's a card that can potentially be free for calling and more power, and considering that Nannaclir needs its rear guards, this is a must run. And then we go to one who arrives at Paradise Belnor, which is a grade 3 with 30k power in the skills. Count rear guard if you roll a Stray Garden plus 5k, in which the second skill is auto rear guard. When this card attacks, perform all the following abilities. If this card stood by the ability of your at least grade 3 Nannaclir, and the critical was not increased by card ability other than by trigger this turn, crit plus 1 in the end of the battle, and at the end of battle, put this as soul. And the other section, if you roll a Stray Garden, cost Soul Blast 1 card with the same card name as your Vanguard, and plus 10k power in the end of the battle. If you guys don't remember, the order card gives your restanding unit a crit or a superior call, hence why the restriction of did not get a crit this turn other than trigger ability. But if I remember the rulings correctly, both cards go in standby, so you pick the order. So when this card stands by Nannaclir, this card gets the crit first, and then you can use the order ability to give it the extra crit. But if you're unable to do that, then either way it's still nice crit pressure since it's not restricted on your opponent being grade 3, and having a crit of 2 early game is very pressuring, especially in later turns. This is just gonna get even more power. So overall, it's another nice new addition. It's basically your main restand card that you want to do, since technically Nannaclir does not really have any good restand targets other than now this one, unless if you play the order card on another rear guard. And I think it's just overall a must run just for being a big beater with extra crit. And now to some Liael support, starting with Knight of Vast Oswin, which is a grade 1 with power in the skills. Auto rear guard, when this card boosts, if your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 plus 2k power into the end of battle for each card in the bind zone. This can technically be very nice if you're not using Amorta, but just for a big beater is no reason to really run it, considering that a lot of stuff already can get 10k on their own. In which finally, to a card that you probably should run is Knight of Severance Celibate, which is a grade 2 with 10k power in the skills. Auto, when bound by the card ability of your at least grade 3 Liael, Soul Blast 1, call this card to the back row rear guard, and then at the end of the turn, bind this unit. With the second skill of Count Rear Guard, if your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Liael, this card gets the boost ability. So it's a grade 2 10k booster that is also a bind target that has the ability to call itself. Especially since you have the ability to bind in battle, you could superior call this as a booster, which is actually very nice. And in the main phase, if you're using Liael Draconis, of course you can bind this just to recover this as well. And because it goes back to the bind zone at the end phase, that means that you still technically have your resource just in case for Liael Amorta's usage or PG, on top of being a 10k booster, which is also very nice. Although the only thing I would say is be careful a bit with the soul, considering that Liael Amorta is using still a bit of soul, even though you have ways to do soul recovery. But this is overall a must run, and I believe this might even replace, I believe it was Idarius. And finally, here's the secret rare to Leonor Tremend. I really wish that they just showed this during the reveal. And next week we got Raziel and Draconis support with a demonic jewel dragon, which hopefully does help out Magnus. And so that's it for these new reviews of the new Nannaclir cards along with Liael. What do you guys think of them? Overall, it's just added support for existing decks, especially since Nannaclir literally just got introduced, so second set kind of completes it a little more. And technically the same thing with Liael, with the new form of Draconis being feeling a little bit incomplete while still being able to play the old cards, but with some new support, even better. And hopefully they do the same thing with Dragjeweled, as we got a new ride line of Dragjeweled Magnus. And hopefully a new surprise for Raziel, because we're getting no new Raziel here, as there's no space for a grade 3 cater card. But in that's for this, and see you next time.